Okay, I have here in HD basically the three types of money. Now at the top what we have is the new colorful 20, which came out not that long ago. Then we have the old Big Head 20, which came out early this century. Then we have the old 20, which we had back in the 90s. You see this one has a much smaller head. Let's look at the 10s, you see the same thing. The colorful 10, then we have the Big Head 10, and then we have the old 10. And the same thing for the 5s. The one which we have now, which is kind of pink, and the old Big Head 5, and then the really old 5 from the 90s. Okay, now the idea is like this. If a person were to time travel to the past, they would not be able to take the top line, which is the colorful 20, 10, and 5, or even the big heads. They would have to take something like this 20 here. This 20 here did not change much. In fact, you could probably use this 20 in the 1930s, in the 1940s, in the 1950s, in the 1960s, 1970s, 80s, 90s, even now if you wanted to. So this I call the universal currency, because it will work pretty much anywhere. You could pick up a bill like this from the 1930s and use it pretty much anywhere. You know, even now, it would still be usable. Versus if you got the like a 10 from now, like this 10 right here, which is orange, not green, that's not going to work. You know, you can't use that in the 90s or 80s or 70s. You know, you can't use that anywhere except now. And the important thing is to remember the big heads, you know, again, you're pretty much stuck with, you know, using it now or using it a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But you can't go back 20 years and use this, because people will say, well, this looks weird. So, I mean, it's not as strange as the top one, but it's still not usable. So basically what I'm doing is I'm showing you, okay, when you go through your change, you know, you could try to look for the old ones, like this one right here. And those will work pretty much anywhere. You know, after the 1920s, I mean. And the same with the 5s. You have the old 5, and then you have a big head 5, and then you have like a pink 5, which, you know, is pretty much useless, the pink 5. So that's basically my thing for today, is explaining which bills will work for somebody who wanted to go back to the past, and which bills will not work. And I can tell you that if you were to go to a coin shop, you could get a 20 from the 1930s for about 50 bucks. 50 bucks nowadays money. So it wouldn't be that difficult to get a hold of money from the 1930s, which you would be able to use money from the 1930s in the 40s, in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s, 80s, and 90s without any trouble. I mean, nobody's going to suspect anything if they see a bill from the 1930s. They're just going to think it's an old bill. It's not going to trigger any strange response. So my basic thing for today is try to get the old bills, the ones that are before the big heads. And whatever you do, don't use the the new ones, which are the colorful ones.